Boston, in an old college hostel. Students say that before their roommate even wakes up, new pages appear in his diary, and every word is written in his own handwriting. Boston's old hostel. There is a room 214. Students in the hostel always whisper about it. That something strange happens there. The room looks completely normal. An old wooden desk, a wardrobe, and a small bed. But the most unusual thing is a diary, always found resting on the desk. Even if someone locks it inside the wardrobe, or the hostel caretaker takes it away to the office, by morning, that diary would always be found back on the desk in room 214. And the most shocking part, inside it, new pages would appear. And the handwriting was always the same as the student living in that room, as if the diary had been written by their own hand. But no one ever remembered when they had written it. The first time this came to light was when a student, Daniel, moved into the hostel, and he discovered the diary. On the very first day, the diary read, "Tomorrow night, a cold breeze will come through your window, and you will not sleep." Daniel laughed. He thought someone was playing a joke. But that night, it actually happened. His window opened on its own. And the whole night he tossed and turned. Every time he closed his eyes, he would wake again. The next morning, a new page was written in the diary. "Tomorrow you will hear a strange sound, and your roommate will be afraid." Daniel shut the diary and didn't think much of it. But around 2 a.m. that night, a strange sound echoed from the hostel basement, like someone dragging a heavy chain. His roommate, Chris, woke up, and he saw the diary open on the desk, its pages flipping on their own, even though there was no wind. Chris quickly shut the diary, and the two of them sat there, terrified, keeping the lights on until morning. The next morning, a fresh entry appeared in the diary. And this time it said, "The next night, a scream will echo through the hostel, and everyone will believe someone has died." Daniel and Chris shut the diary again. But deep inside they felt a strange fear. The night grew darker. The hostel corridors were silent, only the fluorescent lights flickering here and there. At exactly 2:45, a sudden scream erupted from the third floor. So loud, it shook the entire hostel. All the students rushed out of their rooms. But when they reached the spot, there was no one there. Only a broken piece of glass and a small drop of blood. The caretaker said maybe it was just a prank. But everyone knew this was no prank. The diary's writings were becoming real. The next morning, the diary lay open, and on the page it said, "Whoever sleeps inside room 214 tonight, the diary will write their final breath." Chris's face turned pale. Daniel suggested they should burn the diary. But the moment they struck a match, the diary refused to burn. The fire would not catch. Instead, new words appeared across the page. "You cannot escape me." In the next few days, more strange events shook the hostel. One student vanished without a trace, and the diary had already written the night before, "Tomorrow, one name will disappear from the hostel's list." And it came true. The student's name was erased from the registrar's record, as if he had never even lived in the hostel at all. Chris and Daniel decided they had to uncover the diary's true origin. They went down into the hostel basement, the same place where they had first heard the sound of dragging chains. In the basement, there was an old locked trunk. The caretaker said it had never been opened. But when Daniel pushed hard, the lock snapped open on its own. Inside, there was another diary, much older, from the 1920s. And inside it were names of students. students who had died in that hostel. Beneath every name was a page written in their own handwriting. That's when it became clear. This diary only served one purpose. Whoever stayed in that cursed room, the diary would choose them as its next victim and make them write their own fate, as if their future was being written by their own hand. Terrified, Chris left the hostel and moved away to another city. But Daniel, he decided to confront the diary. At exactly 3 a.m., he wrote inside the diary, "I am not afraid of you, nothing will happen to me." But the moment he finished writing, the pen was snatched from his hand and began to move on its own. And the diary wrote, "You think you are the one writing, but in reality, I am writing through your fingers." The next morning, room 214 was empty. Only the diary lay on the desk. And on its last page, it read, "Daniel never left the hostel. He will stay here forever." And just below that, a new entry had begun, in Chris's handwriting, even though he had never returned to the hostel. On Florida's Highway 98 at 2 a.m., a young woman was walking alone. Her name was Emily Carter, 22 years old. And that night she was returning from her best friend's birthday. The air was humid. Being close to the ocean, she could smell the salt. The highway was deserted. Streetlights were far apart. And where the light ended, there was only darkness. Emily's car suddenly broke down. Cell service was weak. And nearby there was neither a gas station nor a rest area. She was irritated, but felt a strange fear from within. She decided to walk for a while and see. Maybe she would find a diner or a motel. And she started walking along the shoulder of the highway. The sound of her footsteps echoed on the asphalt. 2:15 a.m. Suddenly she looked behind. The highway was empty, but she felt as if someone was walking alongside her. She quickened her pace. 10 minutes later, an old billboard appeared ahead. "Welcome to Greywater, exit 12. She had never heard this name before. It didn't even show up on the GPS map. She thought she would take the exit. Maybe she could get some help. As she started to turn, she saw an old pickup truck parked by the roadside. Headlights off. Condensation on the windshield. It looked like it had been parked for a long time. Emily carefully walked past. There was no one inside. But the key was in the ignition. And a Polaroid photo was placed on the dashboard. The photo showed a young girl, exactly like Emily. Same height, same hair, same face. At the bottom it read, "Highway 98 2 a.m. Emily's body shivered. She left the photo there and walked away quickly. Only one question kept running through her mind. How did this photo get here? By the Greywater town sign, the wind picked up. The streetlight was flickering. And for the first time she truly felt the silence of the place. No crickets. No frogs. No cars. Just dead silence. As she entered the town, she saw buildings frozen in 1970s style, as if time had stopped. The diner's sign read open 24 hours. But it was dark inside. The gas station pumps were rusty and abandoned. Then she saw a payphone booth, which still had its light on. Seeing a payphone in Florida is rare nowadays. But this one was working. She picked up the receiver, and a cold voice came through the line. "Emily, you have arrived. There is no way back now." She hung up immediately and ran out onto the main street. And then she saw Behind every house window was the same face. An old man, wearing a black hat. The same in every window. The same in every reflection. Emily screamed and asked, "Who are you?" And the same reply echoed from everywhere. "You are already one of us." The voice echoed from all around. Emily tried to cover her ears, but the echo grew louder, as if every house, every window, was saying the same sentence. She started running and entered the town without looking back. But every street seemed to lead her back to the main street, like a maze with no exit. Her eyes went to the clock tower. The time stuck at 2:45 a.m. The minute hand not moving, and the air filled with a smell like burning wood. Then suddenly, the diner sign's lights started flickering. Open. Inside it was dark, but the jukebox began playing by itself. An old song, playing in reverse. Emily's heart started pounding. She slowly stepped inside, and on a booth, another Polaroid photo lay. This time, the photo showed herself, but sitting in that very booth, as if she was sitting there right at that moment. At the bottom it read, "Greywater, 2:50 a.m. Emily's body shivered. As soon as she picked up the photo, a cold voice whispered near her ear, "You have already been recorded. You are now just a memory." She turned around. In the corner stood the same old man with the black hat. His face blurred, his eyes glowing white. Emily screamed and ran out of the diner. All the streets were swallowed in darkness. Only one spot had light. The payphone booth. She picked up the receiver. This time a female voice came through, exactly like her own. And the voice said, "Emily, you are reliving all of this. You already died on this highway." Emily's eyes widened. She saw her reflection in the glass of the booth. And there was a corpse. Same clothes. Same face. Only the eyes were empty. At that moment, a state trooper's car drove down the highway. The driver saw a broken car by the roadside, and next to it, a young woman's dead body. Lifeless. The report read, "Victim identified as Emily Carter. Time of death, 2 a.m. Location, Highway 98. And at the same time, inside the Greywater Diner, the jukebox started playing again. A new Polaroid fell onto a table. On it was written, "Next one, coming soon."